Welcome to Collection Lock, where I slowly go insane as I try to 100% World of Warcraft on a brand new account. This time, we had the continuation of Brewfest along with the start of Hallow's End and Legion Remix, or Lemix as Blizzard likes to call it. So it's been a really busy month. So to kick things off, I just want to say, I got the Brewfest bomber, and to make things even better, this was my 50th mound, meaning I got the lead in the cavalry achievement, which rewards the albino drake. I also purchased a membership to the Brew of the Month Club for 200 tokens. This gave me the Brew of the Month achievement, and in a year's time, I'll have sampled 12 different brews, which will get me the Brew of the Year achievement. And getting the membership also meant I could complete the meta achievement, Brewmaster. To do this, in addition to joining the Brew of the Month Club, I had to eat 8 Brewfest foods, kill Corundaya Brew, buy a Walpertinger pet, and obtain a Brewfest mount. It was surprisingly easy to do actually. To wrap up Brewfest, I then spent my remaining tokens. I had 222, which is kind of an awkward amount, so I had a look at the achievements to see what would be most useful, and decided to buy the Synth Brew Goggles XL for 200 tokens to hopefully complete the Almost Blind Look achievement, which requires you to fall 65 yards without dying whilst wearing the goggles during Brewfest. This left me with 20 tokens, so I simply bought a 10 token Stein. It's a shame that I had such an awkward amount left over, but I'll live. Speaking of living, no matter how many times I dismounted midair, I could not get the achievement. I don't know what I'm doing wrong here, so if anyone can pinpoint exactly what it was, please let me know for next year. Maybe I just wasn't high enough? Anyways, after a couple of unfortunate deaths, I gave up here. But all in all, during Brewfest, I got the Brewfest Bomber, the Great Brewfest Kodo, a Stout Alemental pet, the Walpertinger pet, which rewarded the Does Your Walpertinger Linger achievement, a Barrel Helm, the Brewer's Basic Shoulder Cape, the Brewfest Blue Kilt, a couple new tankards, and a whole bunch of achievements. So all things considered, I think it was a pretty successful Brewfest. And as soon as Brewfest ended, it was Lemix time. I initially wasn't planning on doing Legion Remix, but after hearing about some of the rewards, like the stunning Violet Spellwing, I decided it was worth it. I also figured this would be a good opportunity to level up some characters to help me with my collection lock grind. For example, I need a skinner to help gather materials for Toledo's blacksmithing journey, because I'm trying not to use an auction house. And I still need an engineer to craft a standard scope for the selfie camera toy. There are a ton of achievements that involve taking pictures with the selfie camera, so at some point, this is going to become a necessity. So, I created T-Swizzle, a surprisingly talented rogue who will later learn skinning, and Lilbo, an aspiring engineer, who will stay in Lemix until the very end. I initially started leveling T-Swizzle because the lever from skinning was a priority for me, but things very quickly started to go wrong when I was doing the Rogue campaign quests. See, there's a quest where you as a Horde player have to sneak into Stormwind. It was all going relatively well, until the scenario completely bugged out and stopped showing me NPCs, and then it suddenly teleported me back to Dalaran. I couldn't figure out how to restart the scenario. So, pop quiz for those who have been playing as long as I have, what do you do when a quest goes wrong and you can't figure out how to restart it? That's right! You abandon the quest and you pick it up again. But if you know anything about Remix, you know that you typically can't enter non-Legion zones unless it's relevant to a quest. So I abandoned the quest, and then realised the place to pick it up was in Elwyn Forest, right? Okay, so not a Legion zone. I figured it's relevant to rogues though, so I tried to fly there and I got sent back to Dalaran pretty swiftly. So I put in a ticket and I switched to Lobo. Lobo's a mage. I've been playing mages since the Burning Crusade and mained one during Legion, so I could not possibly mess this up. Whilst leveling Lobo, I realised there were achievements for leveling each class to 80. Excluding Evokers obviously, because they've not been included in the Legion Remix. I figured I'd try my best to do that. How hard can it be to level 12 different characters to 80 in about 3.5 months? Wait, does this mean, oh man, I'm gonna have to level T-Swizzle, aren't I? So after my usual collection lock runs, I logged back onto T-Swizzle to show the world how frustrating my first real experience of playing a rogue was. only to find Blizzard had fixed it and I could now fly to Elwyn Forest, pick up the quest and do the scenario, and I looked like a massive idiot. I also hit level 80 on Lilbo and immediately realised I had already earned about 300,000 bronze, so naturally I spent as much of it as I could. I decided to buy the non-class mounts first. The class mounts could wait because I would earn them naturally when I level up different classes. And no, I really don't want to talk about the fact that I thought I was going to have to wait 6 months for an opportunity to get the Spirit of Ekaro, only to find it in the vendor. Anyways, I then spent my remaining bronze on a few pets and some new transmog pieces, and I organised weekly Lee Mix runs. At the moment, I'm running the raids in reverse order, so as of writing this script, we start with Nighthold on Mythic if we can manage it, which we usually can. Then we head to Trial of Valor, and then Emerald Nightmare. These runs are separate from my 3 PM Saturday collection lock runs, which consists of Molten Core, Blackwing Lair and Onyxia's Lair, but if you wanted to take part, come and find me in the Dungeon Dojo Discord. Also, quick fun fact, you can earn the achievement going down for simply jumping in the whirlpool to Xavier's in Emerald Nightmare. How cool is that? We also started to do Mythic Plus to get as powered up as possible and hopefully earn some portals, which will help me get around the world a little bit faster when I get to Legion collecting in a few decades time. I then also got to level 80 on T-Swizzle. I transferred all of her bronze to Lilbo and bought more mounts and pets, and I had fully intended to convert T-Swizzle to a standard character once she hit 80, so that she could start skinning and gathering materials, but for some reason the button disappeared. It was literally there that morning, but the second I actually wanted to use it, it was gone. I later found out that the real reason it was gone was due to an exploit that allowed people to one-shot Dimensius. I don't really care about Dimensius, I'm more just hoping the button returns before the end of the event so that I can properly start skinning. Please, Blizzard, I'm begging you. In addition to remakes, I also made sure to take part in the Hallow's End event, which, like with Brewfest, involved running the Headless Horseman's event dungeon every day. Unfortunately, I didn't have quite as much luck as I did with Brewfest, and by that I mean, no, I did not get the mount on my very first run, or any run for that matter, at all. But I did get the goodest ghost boy Arthas on my second to last run of the dungeon, and I was able to spend some tricky treats on the feline familiar pet, couple new transmogs, and the Yipsaron costume, which I'll need when I decide to do the Fell Cycle secret later. I am hoping that next year Blizzard will make Tricky Treats Warbound, because I was left with an awkward amount on all of my characters, and if I was able to combine them, I definitely could have gotten like an extra pet or something. Poor luck aside, I was able to get some achievements done, including the Rotten Hallow achievement. I was terrified of this one because it involves dousing the opposite faction's Wickerman. I reckon it's easier to sneak in and do this as a Horde character, but I decided to take to leader. I'm normally terrible at anything involving potential PvP. I usually get too close to the guards, I die horrific and brutal death, and then I cry myself to sleep when I realise I haven't completed it. This time, however, Toledo flew in without alerting the guards, plonked herself down on top of the Wicker Man, doused it, and halved out without a single member of the Horde noticing. I also got the Check Your Head achievement done. For this, I had to put pumpkin heads on a member of every race. I mostly did this by tossing pumpkins at anyone who entered the Hallow's End dungeon with me. Sorry not sorry if you were a victim of this. By the end of the event, I was left with just one race, a Tauren. Ironically, I couldn't just put one on Mudara's head, even though that would have solved so many problems. So instead, I had Mudara running around Orgrimmar like a knife-wielding maniac in search of a Tauren. I did find a very kind Tauren eventually, who, despite invading Mudara's personal space, seemed more than happy to don a pumpkin head. He even blew Mudara a kiss and everything. What a sweetheart. And then to wrap up my achievement hunting, I did buy the 2 missing masks for the mask task and immediately found another Tauren. Where were you when I was running around like an oversized chicken? I also went for the Saviour of Hallow's End achievement. This one can be pretty awkward to do because it requires putting out the Headless Horseman's fires in one of your faction's villages. It's something you typically can't do solo because there's just too much fire, and if there aren't enough people doing a task, you'll struggle. But this one was surprisingly easy for me. The task had just been completed by others, and there was a pumpkin on the floor, so I looted it, handed it in, and I got the achievement without putting out a single fire. Unfortunately, I didn't get the Hallow's End meta achievement done, so I'm just going to have to try extra hard next year for that one. Oh, and for those wondering, I did continue my Molten Core runs in between all the Lee Mix shenanigans. And I actually got my first proper Blood in the Mountain drop. Combined with the 2 I was gifted in a previous episode, I now have 3 out of 10. So given I've been doing this for months now, I suspect I might be done by 2027? And as always, to wrap up this episode, I go back to the trader's post to hand in my tendies. This month, I chose to buy the Headless Horseman's Hallowed Charger mount, the Rusty Rootfell Snooter pet, and a couple new transmogs. I also froze the Hand of Resh Kagal for next month. Man, with all these events and holidays, it has been an incredibly busy month, which leaves us at 4.88% completed. I actually kind of thought this would be higher, but I suppose we have had a lot of new content added. Anyways, as much as I love the chaos, I'm really looking forward to getting back to the Sulfuras Hand of Ragnaros grind next month. Oh, and for those that don't know, with my purchase of the Epic Edition of Midnight, I get beta access, which starts on November 11th. So come and explore with me at twitch.tv/ArchmageSlaw.